Alright guys, welcome to VALORANT News. The playoffs in Paris are about to get back underway. 8 teams remain, only one can lift the trophy. The two key favourites coming into the tournament were PaperX and G2. Both teams have some serious optimism to take into their match against each other in just a day or so's time. Mini Jake, it seems, is going to be on board, former Fnatic head coach, to help PaperX try and get over the line this time. But Valin on G2 also, it seems, has some ideas up his sleeve. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Let's dive right in. First of all, XLG, they're out of the tournament. The benefit for them is that they did at least secure their spot in the VCT next year, right? Because they did win a series, they got over the line, they took down Sentinels, they outplaced Dragon Ranger Gaming, and as a result of that, they will ensure that they will be in the VCT for next season. DRG, it is going to be a battle. They will have to drop down and beat the Ascension winners to ensure that they retain their spot. Those Ascension winners could feature Simon, we'll see, former Edward Gaming man, who is still a reigning world champion for another week and a little bit until the champion is crowned on the Valorant side for this year. Also, congrats, speaking of XLG, to Happy Way, who confirmed, him and his wife, that they have a child on the way. So congratulations to him and his family. I thought that was particularly nice to see. And it was pretty funny because those pictures went out there and he was like, oh, I guess everyone saw them. It's like, well, yeah, we did see them. So anyway, he does a tweet about it. Guess everyone knows I've got a child now. Thanks for all the blessings. Let's dive into what's happened over the last couple of days, though, because the big series that's coming up tomorrow, PaperX versus G2. Of course, for G2, the tournament did not start in the way that they wanted it to. They went down to Heretics pretty emphatically. Look, that can happen, right? You start a tournament, yeah, you're well prepared, but you're not necessarily coming out hot the first series. Heretics pretty damn good as well, as we have found out as well, and historically, but also this tournament, it seems like they're in a good spot. Even me, Jake, we'll discuss him in a second, said the other day that as far as he decides, or as far as he understands, he feels that the teams such as Heretics, they perform better when there are fewer expectations. Now, this is true generally for quite a few teams, but I think for Heretics, you could make the argument that when there's pressure on them to really deliver, when they're expected to do well, then things tend to be more challenging for them. And also, it's a problem for Sentinels too. If you're going to play for Sentinels, you've got to deal with that level of pressure, and that feels like something which the team has struggled with this season. They will consider their options, of course. But G2, Baby Bay, Leaf, what's going on? Is Baby Bay going to be a part of this run at some point? But G2, they bounced back from that first series defeat. They got the job done. They made it to the groups pretty impressively. And as G2 say, the only team to make every international playoffs this year, because Sen did their post to say, oh, we made every international, we made every domestic upper bracket final, whatever. And G2 are like, look, well, at least we made the internationals and we made the playoffs on every occasion. So they got the job done. It was a bit touch and go at a time, but G2 got over the line. They've also been doing some practice over the last couple of days. So this is, by the way, as it always is every year, the perfect time to be a team based in the region where the World Championship is happening, right? Because if you're Enterprise, if you're Focus, whoever, you're playing scrims against teams that are there for the World Championship. You get to try out the best teams. We've seen it before when teams who are not at champs, they're potentially building rosters for next year. They get a perfect opportunity to get some good practice in with their trials against the teams that are in a rock solid form for the World Championship. Just notable here because Giant X, don't know who they're playing, but they were down 7-2, so, you know, maybe they were scrimming another Champions team, but relatively unlikely, right? Because you wouldn't scrim anyone else in the playoffs if you could avoid it. If you can get another scrim in against somebody who you're definitely not going to play, who is a Challengers team or something, who is not actually there in attendance. We also got Fnatic, they were spotted 7-7 against somebody, and G2 were also playing someone else. They were up 9-3. Jonah P actually had the PaperX, which is, there was a bit of talk about this because, well, why, right? Jonah P, why does he put PaperX as his picture, right? Is he trying to make some sort of a statement about the match they're about to have tomorrow? Because, yeah, it's a big one, right? I think going into the tournament, we expected PaperX and G2 to probably play each other at some point, but not necessarily in the first round of the bracket. But, you know, G2 have got themselves to blame in the sense that they came out as the second seed from their group, so this was always a possibility for them. 1 in 3 chance because they can't play the other team that came out of their group. So that's how it worked out. They played PaperX and, well, we'll see how it works. Could be ideal. Could be the perfect time. Get a win on the board, take them down, knock PaperX down to losers. But of course, that is very much far easier said than done. Fnatic were then playing Enterprise. They were spotted up 14-10. Heretics were down 9-11 to somebody or another. Giant X are also up 12-8 as well. That was spotted. So yeah, quite a lot of scrims going on as the teams prepare for the playoffs. And yeah, this was the other one that I just mentioned there. Now, I wanted to share a clip here. So Sage talked to Valin after their result against T1. They got the 2-0 win. We know that Valin got into a bit of drama because, you know, he was talking about, oh, Stacks, do you want to shoot back and all this? And, oh, Meteor, no, it was Meteor, do you want to shoot back? But we know that T1, they are a pretty emotional team. They were feeling the pressure. They were feeling the stresses of some of those rounds lost. And I think Valin makes some interesting points here in terms of how the mental game is a crucial factor to success, obviously, in sports in general. But some of the kind of needling that happens in regular sports is also very much a thing here in Valorant as well. And, well, Valin believes he can take advantage of it and intend to not get taken advantage of. So when he saw the guys on T1 struggling a bit, battling with what was currently happening in the server and their frustrations, he was of the board to be like, okay, let's twist the knife, right? Like, guys, run it down, basically. Make sure this guy has a terrible game. Put him on tilt. Make him know that he's going to lose and he's not contributing. That's then going to affect the overall team's performance. By knowing these things, you can also try and find ways to stop it happening to yourself. So I thought it was an interesting insight here from Valin in terms of what it takes at this top level to find every single minute advantage. Will this come in handy against Paper X?
Yeah, I would say the way I present myself to my team, towards everyone, is very like calm manner. And sometimes on stage I get hyped. Sometimes I get frustrated, like in the past, you know. And I think it's just being bought into the game. Like when you're that invested, you care. And I've learned that like you just, no matter what, you have to be productive. Like whatever you're feeling, you can't have it negatively impact you at all. And honestly, I saw the look on T1's face today, and they were devastated at some of the round losses. Their hands were going up. I saw Stacks putting his hands on his chair, hands on his face, and I took advantage of that. I said, guys, he's stressing. He feels it. His heart's pumping. Rush him. Make him have a bad game. And I don't want to be that player that can be exploited like that. So, and I don't want my teammates to be exploited either. So I'm really there for them now better than ever to be like, guys, it's okay. I'm trying to give little motivational talks to my boys whenever I could tell they're feeling a bit low. We just know a lot about each other, and I'm putting all the knowledge I have of the boys in a space that now I've always known about them, like when they're feeling low, when they're feeling this. Now I have tactics in my head to help them get out of it. And in the past, I felt like I did have those, but maybe not live. Maybe in between maps, or maybe after the game when we lose. But now I'm identifying it right away, and all the boys are, to be fair. The way I'm speaking speaks for everyone because we've been on one mission here. And we're identifying people feeling low, problems, whatever, and instantly putting out the fire. And it's been an amazing journey playing this game right now with this team. And I'm so grateful, and the game feels so fun. And then, yeah, we're just like standing up, having fun, and some people hate it, some people love it. I'm just trying to be a showman, and I'm trying to express myself on stage. So if you love it, or if you love me or hate me, like I don't care. I'm gonna still keep going, and the boys are gonna still keep going. And I'm just really excited to continue in this tournament.
But Paper X are going to be a different level of opponent, especially with another coach potentially on board. So we know that Mini Jake worked with Fnatic for a long time, was considered in many respects to be one of, at least, the greatest coaches to do it in the Valorant world. But for various reasons, he didn't continue with Fnatic forever. He did work with Paper X earlier as well, and it now seems like that is going to be the case again. British flag emoji, train emoji, and then France emoji, right? So he's on the Eurostar over to Paris, and it looks like that's how it's going to go. As he says, first one this year as a coach, ask me anything, and Fnatic are in the replies and saying, you know, why don't you like us anymore? And he says, you know, my love language is to hold you to unrealistic standards. You don't pay me anymore is number 2. So, you know, of course, Fnatic don't get the help from Mini Jake, but he will, we think, more than likely be working with Paper X, which is pretty interesting. He also gave some thoughts here on the current state of Tier 2, incentives for organizations, and, well, the state of the scene in general, but it appears that he will be at least helping somebody out in Paris, and clearly somebody in the playoffs. So who's it going to be? It's not going to be Fnatic. He's worked with Paper X before. That seems plausible, right? So getting Mini Jake in the room, getting Alex in the room. Of course, yeah, G2 have a strong lineup on the other side as well. but I think Mini Jake wants that Champions Trophy, right? So we'll see if they've brought him in as like on a consultancy basis for the final event of the season, or who he might potentially be working with elsewhere. But it does seem like that's a big boost to whatever team has him on board when we get to the playoff stage. And speaking of the playoffs, this of course is the bracket. But I wanted to share how crazy this bracket might look, right? Because the crucial thing to note is that the winners of Fnatic, DRX, PaperX, G2, they play each other, obviously, but the losers also play each other. So this bracket is going to get kind of wild. So let's say Fnatic take the dub against DRX. Look, at the end of the day, DRX, are they going to finish 6th? Probably yes. They might win this series. Let's say they were to lose here, then they would, lose to this team. Potentially that would be a 6th place finish. But it might not be top 6. It might be another way around. Because if DRX were to lose to Fnatic, let's say PaperX beat G2, I mean, this is clearly glitched because DRX is still there, but whatever, we'll just resolve it by putting a few more things through. DRX versus G2 is a lower bracket round game. Losers round 1. But potentially DRX could win, and it could be Fnatic G2, loser goes out top 8. It could be PaperX Fnatic, loser goes out top 8. It could be PaperX DRX, loser goes out top 8, right? So one of those 4 teams is getting eliminated top 8. Now, DRX is probably the most likely for it to happen, but we know that they love finishing 6th, right? So I don't know if that story is going to continue this time. Their side of the bracket is tough. But could DRX do a number on Fnatic? I think it's definitely possible. It's going to be pretty wild what happens on the upper side. And just to kind of play this out, let's say Heretics take down MRBR, let's say NRG take down Giantex, and just kind of play through a little hypothetical bracket here. This is what things might potentially look like, right? So, Fnatic could be going out early. Maybe Heretics get the dub, G2 go out top 6. I don't know, maybe something like this. This would be a pretty wild ride, but I don't think it's going to happen. But just to show you what the bracket, certainly in the first side of losers, could potentially look like. So very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.